2 BMWs in the top 6 as well, and a bunch of Ferraris. But looks to be the McLaren that's going to be at the forefront of Tier 2. So greetings everyone, apologise for all of that. We are finally live here then. Yes, it's all good. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here on the SSRI YouTube channel. You've caught us just at the end of free practice. We apologise for the delay, some technical issues. But my name is Dylan Pick. I'm going to be taking you through all of the race action for tonight's Tier 2 4th round from Monza. Last week, we had the Tier 1 guys in the action. And now we have the second division, which is split into 2 categories amongst them as well. It's the Silver and Am drivers going at it this week, and they have some very tight looks in the standings. Both classes, 3 race winners from all 3 rounds, all different drivers. I realised how I said that sounded just a little silly. 3 different race winners from all 3 different rounds. And contrast to last week in Tier 1, which had a brand new race winner after it was dominated for the first 3 rounds. Our drivers are just coming out for qualifying. Then we'll give a quick rundown of the standings in just a moment's time as well. So then, Carl Van Horn leads the way. In the silver class, he's on 46 points, 8 points clear of Mark Conway. Then Henry Thompson, Horvath, Zoltan tied on 36 points. But the big one in AM class, it's an Italian 1-2-3, and Fabio Gallamini and Dario Bonanella on 46 points apiece, and then Luca Bartolucci on 38 points. So then this is Henry Tons. He's going to be the first driver to start his flying lap. So then Henry Tons down the main straight. I think we're all ready to go then. Yes, good evening. Whilst we may not have been the tidiest, we're going to hope the drivers are going to have some good, clean and fast qualifying laps, and it is Henry Thompson who's going to be leading the way then through the opening chicane. You can see a massive bunch. It's not the most ideal scenario in qualifying, but here in Monza, we don't do typical as the drivers all very close up. You can see in the right hand side of your screen the track map, and everyone so bunched together, getting the all-important slipstream that is crucial to upwards of a second. We'll see the teammates pushing each other along, giving themselves the needed benefit that it can give, but Tons won't be getting that as he leads the way into 1-4-3. BMW behind him, it looks to be Van Duisburg. It's the first driver out, so he doesn't really matter what he does behind him for Tons. So we're going to be racing in separate classes, however, track position and all that can impact you. Whilst there is no overall class, as you'd expect the silver drivers to be just ahead of the AM drivers, on the track they still will be there to split each other up, hold each other up, and already first mistake at Ascari, running a bit wide on the exit to turn 10 was Thompson. Van Duisburg's going to get a lovely benefit down this back straight up towards the Parabolica then at the end of the first flying lap in this qualifying session. 16 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. so far on a good line through. The Parabolica pushes it well, just within his limits, and Tons sets the benchmark lap time. It's a 48.1. Well, it was a 48.3, sorry, and Vrins jumps right up there. It's a 2/10 advantage, and you think the slipstream has played a massive part, Sven. But his word to Vrins, currently 7th place in the standings on 26 points into benchmark lap times. De Gore, Van Horn, and Conway all fall the way through as well. But the McLarens certainly seeming with the speed so far, and Bokland v Belgium in the 971 also in a McLaren for the DDS Racing team. Down the back straight he goes, Van Doesburg. I think he had his time invalidated as he's in the pit lane with nothing set, but Bokland, see what the Belgium can do. It was a Belgium who played a big part last week, but it was an Irishman who ended up winning Tier 1. But we'll see what Bokland can do up towards the line, keeping it tight. He goes into P11, it's a 1.3 seconds back to Vrins, current provisional poleman. Henry Tons, the Estonian, in 2nd place, coming back with the old banking 0.4 up so far, so he'll go into provisional pole if things stand, and he wasn't clean on the exit through Ascari. He's better this time out, but still no toe. But going provisional top without a toe would be definitely a big statement. But up towards, he's got Vrins behind him as well, 0.3 up. So Tons giving the McLaren that advantage, but a bit wide there it seemed for Vrins. But here comes Tonsven, tied up to the line. He goes provisional top, and then Vrins knocks it back down, and the gap gets even bigger. It's a quarter of a second they go, and a 1:47.641 to Vrins is the new benchmark. De Gore comes in at 4th. Zoltan, the Hungarian, up towards the Parabolica. He's 0.6 up in 6th place. This could jump him in towards the top 3. Up towards 0.8 now. It's not the best of lines. He's not been as aggressive, so it might have cost him some time. Up towards the line. He shoots up into 2nd, though. The Parabolica doing him no harm whatsoever. So Tons moves down into 3rd. And the Hungarian puts his Lexus on the front row of the grid. Matt Pryor, the current AM poleman, 8 or nearly 9 tenths behind Walter Vrins, but leading his class. Down the back straight up towards the Parabolica. It's the fastest forward as well, 0.1 up. This could move him in amongst the silver class drivers as well. You'd think he might have the pace to jump in towards the top 6, and he's got Gallimini behind him right now. Price is 4th. He's 2 points behind Bartolucci, and then 10 points behind Gallimini. He jumps into 5th, so it's a great lap there from the Brit in the Wyvern Racing 27 car to Vrins back at it. 0.3 up, ever improving. Zoltan in the pits, and Tons, you'd think he's going to have to find a slipstream from somewhere. Tons is 0.3 up, but Vrins with the slipstream up towards the line. Well, Tons pulled out, and Vrins crosses the line and improves, but Tons actually had the faster lap that time. Well, close the gap down that time anyway. The gap, smaller yellow flags out on track on the pit straight, but it's now a 2. It's a 215 thousandths if we're going to get overly accurate gap between our provisional poleman and P2. Parker up towards the line. He moves into P5, 8 tenths behind. I'm going back quickly to word on Matt Pry, his positioning. He did have Gallimini behind him, but sticking himself whilst the gap's 3 tenths. Those 4 cars that separate them at the start, especially on a track like Monza, can be a massive difference maker for these guys. But Steve Parker then, the fastest Ferrari on the track. Coming through turn 3, Zoltan and Conway in the pits. Mark Conway 2nd place in the silver class. Bartolucci, one of the race winners in the AM class, currently 3rd in that class and 13th overall. He's 1.4 seconds back on Walter Vrins, the current provisional poleman. And it's a home race for Bartolucci, and he's 0.7 up as he goes under the old banking from the 1950s F1 circuit, getting a bit of a curve at turn 8, but so far he's clean through Ascari. The exit looks good as well in the all-black McLaren. I was about to say Ferrari out of habit, but with an Italian and a British car, and he's not following the toe all the way, but up towards the parabolica. He could make some massive gains through here if he gets his exit. Well, he's not got the throttle as early as some of the drivers, but he's going to be able to keep a tight line all the way up to the line. 0.6, so he's lost a tenth through the final sector, but he shoots him up into P5 and the provisional poleman in the AM class. He's 3/4 of a second back behind Walter Rintz now. As we approach the halfway stage of this qualifying, Michael de Gore, the Frenchman, a bit aggressive, coming through turn number 6. The first part of the Lesmo is a bit tidier, but still some dust being kicked up through the second Lesmo. Down under the banking, up towards the Ascari complex. De Gore currently P10, he's just over a second behind the poleman, but he's going to have some work to do. 0.4 goes de Gore. We'll see, he may have invalidated it there through Ascari, but we'll find out as he comes through the parabolica. Moments away to see what the Frenchman Michael de Gore can put on the board and start of the second half of this qualifying session. He doesn't look to be keeping it tight, so it may have just been invalidated. No, de Gore shoots right up the order. He goes into P number 5. He's just over half a second back now. Oscar Actis, the Argentine. The 113 Air Sports BMW. He's the slowest of drivers to set a time yet. Casale is one of those drivers you can see on the timing tower yet set a lap time. 5 seconds back for Actis. P10 in the AM standing, so you'd expect him to find some improvements. He's not lagging at the background. Down towards the parabolic event in the BMW, and just a typical BMW livery they always get fares right in the traditional BMW M Sport colours. And can he find the M Sport power in the BMW? It's not a bad line through there. A bit wobbly as he got the power on, keeping it tight. But Oscar Actis for Argentina, he gains 2.5 seconds. It's a 1:49.9, but it only shoots him well back into P19 as Casale got a lap in. He's in towards P17. Schuker Vervat, the 73 car, Try Hard Racing, and one of the familiar faces in the SSRI. He knocks down Van der Linden into P17 as he jumps up past the pro driver, and you can see in the bottom left corner as well, revolving, or on the revolving graphic is the SSRI social media channels. You can see there's our Instagram and our Twitter, well now known as X. But if you want to give our social medias a follow, you can see them right there on our YouTube. If you're brand new here, subscribe and you'll see our Discord code coming up in just a moment's time right there on cue. You can put that into your web browser or into your Discord if you're interested in racing and you're new here. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, pop that in, and there's our website for all the information and news on the SSRI League and doings. So if you are new, get in and you want to get involved, there's our social media channels, and this is Horvath Zoltan. 7 minutes remaining in the session. Zoltan 3.5 tenths behind Walter Vrentz, who's led the way as he looks to improve. He's in a bit of no man's land here, though. He's got the 65 car just up the road. That's Frans van der Linden, but he's not really going to be in touching distance to give him a slipstream. We'll see what Henry Tons can do as well. We'll try and keep an eye out for him on the minimap, see if he can find any space for a bit of a toe. He didn't get that last time out, and that was one of the reasons why he would have... You'd think if the Estonian can get a slipstream going, he's going to be in the mix of things. We'll see if anyone could put pressure on Auto Vince, who fastest lap was behind Tons. Is Zoltan, 0.1 up the Hungarian. Might think with a good exit here of the parabolic, he might be able to get himself on that top throw of the grid. Keeps it tight. He wasn't the cleanest he's been through the parabolic, up towards the line. It's an improvement, but he stays in his position. And he gives himself a bit more of a gap to De Gaulle, who hasn't looked threatening of those top places so far. But Matt Priory, we spoke about him earlier, up towards the line. He shoots into P8, and well, it's a big group of 3 AM drivers in the mix of the pro drivers in the top 10. And a notable absence in all that is Bonanella, who doesn't seem to have made much of a presence if they are here tonight. Doesn't look to be here. Doesn't look like they're here, so only 20 drivers in Monza, so big benefit to Gallimini and then also Bartolucci and Pryor. The absence of Bonanella all benefits them. Matt Pryor will also be having his eyes open. He's only 10 points back, so he should be able to find himself up with a good result, and a good result he's so far looking at. If his qualifying is anything to go by, currently P3 in his class. But Wouter Vrins, the current provisional poleman for Belgium. We saw the McLarens dominating free practice at the end of it all. There's a bit of a mistake there. He slams all over the sausage curbs at turn number 8. That's not going to do him any favours in the DDS Racing McLaren. A 1:47.3 is the benchmark he set around the 5.8 kilometres here at Monza. But Vrins, this time in no man's land, no slipstream and a mistake at turn 8. You wouldn't think he's going to make an improvement. You can see he's really pushing it to the limits. He's 0.2 down, but you see really search for something through the parabolica. But he doesn't improve on that lap. The final 4 minutes. Here's Carl Van Horn. Carl Van Horn then trying to find him in the standings. Van Horn doesn't look to be. Oh, he's the championship leader. I'm looking down the order on my notes just so Chris Hill can have a laugh at me as he so often does. Carl Van Horn then the championship leader, 8 points clear of Mark Conway. Currently P6 as Gallimini's just shot up the order as well, under half a second back. And again, that does him some favours, putting some cars between himself and Bartolucci and Pryor. But Carl Van Horn is going to want to get back above Gallimini. He's 0.1 up. This could be threatening to De Gaulle. He's going to want to move up the order here with his championship positions. And he's had a great run through the parabolica there as he's found an extra 10th out of nowhere. And Carl Van Horn goes into 4th place. It's a 1:47.8. And this is the man he put a bit of pressure up. 0.3 up. It's Horvath Zoltan. He's got a slight slipstream up the road. The Hungarian looking to put his Lexus on the top row and even provisional pole. Vrins, who's not got a slipstream buddy to help him along the way. 0.3 up. So far he's on pace then. Zoltan up towards the line. Provisional pole, he goes 400 up on Vrins' lap, as he'll just be able to get 2 more laps in. You know, he pulls off to the side, so that might be Zoltan's qualifying done with then. He said that's all I can give. We'll see if Cohen Geens has got anything more he can give, as he's had a very big mistake on the exit of the second Variante, the turn number 5. Exit of the chicane, as he's really got his DDS Racing FedEx NASCAR looking McLaren right on the edge of things. He sits P11 and I doubt he's going to be improving, and his tyres may just be in a bit of bother. 0.4 down on this lap. Iron van der Linden, 19th so far, 0.1 up the car. The number 14 Try Hard Racing car in 14th place, 1.3 seconds back on Zolder. He might be able to shoot himself up into P12 if he gets a good exit. He's not at the best of line, a bit more conservative there, but he's got an AM driver ahead of him, Boklan. That Belgian driver is on debut. When he does knock him down, he goes into P13 and knocks down the P4 and the AM class down to P14 then. So yes, Boklan on debut, no points so far, so he'll be looking to make an impact as well. And P4 in the AM class does him some favours. Jacco van Eck, another one of the Dutchmen in the Hornet Motorsports McLaren, as he comes through P4 and P5. Sorry, turn 4 and turn 5. There's P4 and P5 had out in a qualifying session, a neck and neck on the track. But it's the 972, again another all blacked out McLaren coming through the Lesmos. And most of the drivers around him in the pit lanes. There's a good chance for Jacco van Eck to get up the order and gain some valuable grid positions, which are so crucial here at Monza. Turn 1 and turn 2, ever so dangerous. It was clean in tier 1. Will it be clear in tier 2 as the checkered flag is now out? This is the last flying laps for the drivers, a majority of them in the pits, but crucially, Tons, Van Horn, Galamini, they're all out there. This is Casale. He's coming up towards the Lesmos. Again, loads of drivers above him in the pit lane. So there's a chance, and it's a bit wild through turn number 6 for Casale. Van Horn then out of Parabolica up towards the checkered flag for his qualifying session. He's not going to improve. So Van Horn will start no worse than P number 4, Casale. 1.9 seconds behind, but he's 0.6 up. This could shoot him right up the order again, as he's tailing off at the back of the grids right now, but one of 2 drivers left also out on track. The 27 car and the number 5 car. But here comes Marco Alessandro Casale in the Team SPX Ferrari at home for the Italian team. 0.5 up, his lost time through the Parabolica. It's P16 for Casale. He ends up with a 1:48.6, or just under a 1:46.7. Matt Pryor, the number 27 car, 0.2 up. He goes pole for the AM class. Matt Pryor puts it P4 on the grid at the end of qualifying. I think that's a fairly good day in the office for him. It's just the number 8 car, Bartolucci, who's not going to challenge anything. But it is Horvath Zoltan then who puts it on pole, but as we saw last week, the poleman did not win the race. And Frank Hopp in the chat just wishes everyone the best of luck at turn 1. Best of luck to you in your race as well. Well, he's on holiday, I'm being told, so he can't be racing. It'll be quite interesting. He has been chatting whilst the qualifying session is ongoing, but he might have some talents. But right now, his focus, I'm sure, is on sunbathing. But our focus is in the shiny northern Italy. You don't often get the sun in northern Italy as much as you do in the south. But the driver are going to hope the weather holds out and you don't want rain at Monza. They're going to want the perfect racing temperatures which Tier 1 had, and we're going to be hoping for more of the same. We are moments away then from the formation lap that will be coming up shortly, and we'll have a rundown of the grid. But the big story then, Horvath Zoltan puts it on pole position. The Silver Championship leader Carl Van Horn starts P number 5 now, as Matt Pryor, the AM class poleman, he's in 4th place in the AM standings. He will start on pole for them, with the absence of Bonanella, but Bartolucci and Galamini all up in the mix as well at the front of the race. So, grid run coming up then, just before their 5.8 kilometers of the formation lap to warm everything up for the drivers. one mandatory stop where they have to take fuel but not tyres, which just makes things ever more fascinating. As the difference in strategies can be immense. We saw it last week, it nearly played a part. But not in a crucial stance. But will it be a crucial stance this week? Or will there be an enormous amount of benefit? We'll find out. We are only moments away from racing action. Here we are then. You can see the grid. It is Horvath Zoltan on pole. Behind him is Walter Vrins as well. Henry Tons is up there. We'll see Matt Pryor in P4. He's an AM driver. And here we go then. 2.5 minutes away from the formation lap. Zoltan on pole. Vrins second. Tons in third. It's an AM driver in P4. That's Matt Pryor. Carl Van Horn, the championship leader, in P number 5. Gallimini, the championship leader in the AM class, P number 6. He's going to be wanting to get on Matt Pryor, not allow him to close down, but he does have a very quick Carl Van Horn. But what makes this even more interesting, the silver and AM class, each round has a different race winner. Both classes have a different poleman as well, so we could be going 4 race winners from 4 races in each class. As I'm sure Zoltan and Matt Prime will be having that on their agenda for tonight. But we keep going down the order then. The Frenchman, De Gaulle, P number 7, and Bartolucci rounds out the top 3. As we do get a good rundown there, you can see Matt Pryor on the right of your screen. Carl Van Horn, the championship leader, P number 5. Going further down, we've got Gallimini, De Gaulle, the Frenchman on your left, Bartolucci, the AM drivers, all behind each other on the left-hand side of the grid, or the right-hand side for us, but they'll be going down to the left. Conway in the distinctive BMW P9, Scott. Steve Parker P10, Geens P11, Van Eck, Dutch All Row number 6. Then the try-hard racing cars, we've got Van der Linden and Bockland on his debut this season. Carsale, Gomes, Vervat, and Vervat and Actis, and then Duisburg rounds out the grid. There's a healthy mix of the AMs and the Silvers. Then we are just under 40 seconds away from racing action here. 75 minutes on the clock, 1 mandatory pit stop. Zoltan's going to lead them all the way down. We saw a great start last week in Tier 1, midway through the pack. I think the car was P7, ended up P4 at the end of turn number 1. See if one of the drivers can get a magical start away, but it will be Zoltan who will lead them away for 5.8 kilometers on the formation lap. Head then out of Parabolican. The race start will be in his hands when he decides to go. The race will start. And the Hungarian has his eyes set down on turn number 1. No heroics they'll be hoping for. And the Hungarian pulls them away for their formation lap here at Monza. And you'd think in about 2.5 minutes time we'll be green flag racing here in northern Italy. The AM driver then, Matt Pryor, a bit more of a gap, he's a bit conservative. But he's going to want to close back up to them. As we come out of turn number 2, there are 11 miles then north of Milan, the home of the 2026 Winter Olympics. Here at Monza, one of the big homes of Italian motorsport, one of the staples on the F1 calendar and a fan favourite. Whatever racing is being held here at what has been nicknamed the Kingdom of Speed, the fastest racetrack in all of motorsport. They approach turn number 4 and 5. We'll get a look at the big sausage curves. That can be a bit of a killer I'm sure we'll see a few good overtakes on turn number 1. Just a reminder, you can see in the bottom left, if you are new here, you can see our social medias. If you want to get involved, there's our Instagram and our Discord, and website will be coming up if you're new here and want to get involved in this action week in, week out. You can do so there if you want to follow up with all of the updates and the live racing. Every race at SSRI that is held here on the SSRI YouTube channel. Subscribe and follow our social medias for those updates. There's our Discord link for one last chance. I'll be going through the race. If you know someone as well who might be interested, share that out to them. But we're halfway around our formation lap. It's sunny here, the track conditions are perfect, there's very little wind. It's 23 degrees in the air, the track is 29 degrees, a little colder than it was before last week's racing, but really not by much. And Zoltan just takes them under the old banking. These cars wouldn't be able to go around there anymore, you'd feel, up towards Ascari, but on board with Zoltan. Through turn number 10. Here's a long look down towards the parabolic, and he's going to hopefully have a great first. He's going to be wanting a great first lap, and maybe hoping that Thompson and Brent can kind of do what we did in the qualifying session, get on the back of each other, and that allows Zoltan to pull ahead because he knows how dangerous it could be up towards the parabolic and getting overtakes. And there's already an overtake. Zoltan's been passed by Brent, who's just closing up to him, but Zoltan's going to bunch the pack up now. And you can see the track there as they come up towards the parabolica. For the last time before we get green flag conditions, there are 75 minutes on the clock. There's the tail of the grid coming through the 11th and final turn here at Monza. The Hungarian Horvath Zoltan then leads the way. It was a close qualifying session. You expect Zoltan, Brent and Tons batting out, but Zoltan has his eyes on his first success this season. We round out through the parabolica up towards the line. The race is in the hands of Horvath Zoltan. We're about to go green here. 75 minutes on the clock here at Monza. And we go green, and it's a pretty good launch there from Brent, but Tons has also gotten away well. Matt Pryor in the distance is going to be under some pressure, but I think the Gore or Bartolucci, one of the two, has had an absolutely atrocious start. But up towards turn one, we're fairly even. Looking down the inside of Privo is Van Horn. It's going to be the inside line for championship leader, and too deep. There goes Zoltan. It's a massive mistake, and there's a bit of a pile-up going on. Oh, and there's chaos at turn number 2. There's been caught on the sausage curb, and I think Tons has been caught up massively in that, and he's going to fall right down the order, and Zoltan, who's had to give up a lot of the time gain, is going to be under pressure from Brent. As Tons leads the way, actually, as everything just gets sorted out. As there's more chaos, someone's been hit from behind, and it's been the typical Monza start, you'd think, but Zoltan leads away from Brent and Van Horn. Conway's had a good start, and Matt Pryor still leads the AM class, and Bartolucci's gotten away well alike. But through Valesmos, there's a massive gap where everyone got caught up in that incident. As they go up towards under the banking, they go tucked into the slipstream. You fancy a move up towards Ascari, peering out. Here's Van Horn, the championship leader, and again Zoltan's had a massive error. You'd think, looking at that, you wouldn't assume he's gone in too deep. He might be having you'd think he may be having some technical issues there. His wheel might not be having the best of fun. He's going to be under pressure from Conway, then up towards the parabolica, gives him the space. And now Matt Pryor as well thought about following his way through, but it's Zoltan who falls down the order. Carl Van Horn leads the way then, started P5. He's flown up the order. But here comes Zoltan again on Conway. the BMW driver in the back, and it's all a bit scrappy so far. And again, deep into turn number 1 goes Zoltan, and all of this going on, he's just helping Matt Pryor, who'd want to put a car between himself and his championship rival in Bartolucci. They come through turn 3, everything's bunching up a bit more after Zoltan's, I guess you could say, accident, and Carl Van Horn leads the way. There's a bit of a gap, as we can see the championship leader, the Dutchman of the number 13, after a racing team car flying up the road, leading the way by already over 2 seconds. Conway, the car behind him, and Zoltan as well, the provisional of the pole man falling right down the order. And then 2 AM drivers, and a train starting to form, which is good for the racing. And Carl Van Horn's going to enjoy it even more, as Mark Conway, P2 in the championship, is there, but the one, Henry Tonsi's down in P18. He's fallen a long way back. You'd think he's got a bit of damage. He's not had the best opening lap. As we approach the end of lap 2 then, it's Carl Van Horn who leads the way. Replay of what happened to Prince then. He just, caught the curb, and the oversteer just took it with him. He's not going to be too happy. He led most of the qualifying session, but he's fallen down the order. He's with Tont, so they've met up once more. He's down in P17, but Carl Van Horn pulling away 2.5 seconds is the gap between himself and Mark Conway. 2.5 seconds, and you go down to 9/10 to Zoltan. And the top 2 drivers in the standings, showing why they are. The top 2 drivers in the standings definitely showing the speed here, and Zoltan as well, pulling away from the AM drivers who caught up in squabble between them. Is another replay. Tonch trying to catch up, thinking of a move down in towards the Lesmos. Then there's a mistake, and he does. Oh no! Oh, Tons, he thought about getting him on the exit, and he just tagged the 613 car in the back. And he does a great job there waiting for him. Doesn't want holds up his race, but I think that was Van Doesburg he made contact with. But Tons, it's not the race he's going to be. It's not the start to the race he's going to be wanting, but De Gore started P7. He's off to a flyer, and he's eyeing up a move on towards Matt Pryor, the current leader. And down the inside, he's going up towards the Parabolica. He's going to want to make this look easy as you like, but Pryor's fighting this round the outside. Great work from the Brits so far, holding on, but the better exit should come from De Gore here. He's not going to get the slipstream. Just having a bit of a twitch. He just pulls back in. Going to have a much better chance up towards turn 1 and 2. He's following all the way. He might have a bit of an overlap. De Gore look to slow down a bit there, as De Gore really got close to the back of Matt Pryor up towards the opening chicane. Then overlap and done, you'd think, for the Frenchman. Easy as you like it. De Gore is through on Matt Pryor, who's going to have Geens having a look at him as well. Bartolucci's got the eyes on his fellow championship rival, but the fastest Ford falls down the order, and here comes Koen Geensven. And the DDS Racing thought about coming a long way back, thinks better of it. I took back into it. Zoltan closed up on Conway just a little bit. That gap's now down to a quarter of a second from the 9/10 as they come through turn number 6 at the Lesmos, and now the second part. Runs that nicely there, does the Hungarian. You can see the battle in the distance as well. A 5-car train as they head towards the old banking under the Brembo sponsorship. And through turns 8, 9 and 10 as the opening 5 and a bit minutes have concluded here, and Carl Van Horn really shot up the order with a 4-second lead, and already he's off up and away. Actis in the Pits then for one reason or another. He may have some damage and his race may already be over before it's really had a chance at starting. It's Horvath Zolder in P number 3, a different line to what Conway took. It's not as quick the exit, not giving him the benefits, but as you can see, picturing the bottom corner, that looks to be Matt Pryor. This is Cohen Van Geens. Sorry, it's Bartolucci. Bartolucci eyeing up a move on the silver driver, turning in. There goes Geens and forcing him wide. Geens comes off the worst and slipping his way through goes Gallimini. Gallimini out of nowhere has an early Christmas present at his home, and now we're going to go in 2 by 2. It's not Bjark, but it's turn number 3 here at Monza. We'll pull in towards the race. This battle, it's coming Geens in P number 6, Matt Pryor, and this benefiting him as he's able to just pull ahead by over 2 seconds. But Gallimini getting past Bartolucci as well. Luca Bartolucci giving the place back there, maybe getting through unceremoniously, but it's a real squabble. It's kind of hard to keep up with all of it going on, but Geens leads this little group, and in P8 it's Gallimini here to give up his place to Bartolucci. Behind them is Parker as well, and it's a battle between the Ferrari and the McLarens. Britain versus Italy at Italy, and rounding up the tail looks to be Van Eck and Van der Linden, who are also in the mix of things. Steve Parker, P9, he being chased down by Van der Linden, and Van Eck, and there's a big mistake there. Franz Van der Linden, I think someone has got, Ruben Gomez has got that all shapes of wrong, as this is Ruben Gomez. He's disappeared, and there he is now. He pulls into our screen the Portuguese driver. He had an absolute moment on the exit of turn number 10, lost the control of the car completely. And we go back to the large train in the battle for P6. Running at the back of it here is Franz Van der Linden, who looks to have lost the place to Van Eck in the 972 car. We're going to get a replay of Gomez in just a moment's time, but here is Jaco Van Eck looking to make a move on Parker, who's just a way bit up the road. You can see closing in a bit too deep, and that made him a bit vulnerable from attack from the back. And looking for a move there, it looks like Gallimini might fancy one on Bartolucci. Looks to have it done, and the Italians battling it out. A big battle in the championship as well. They want as much of an advantage as they can take going into the final round in 2 weeks' time. But down under the banking they will go again. Van Eck P10, this group led by Cohen Geens, Gallimini in P7, and Bartolucci P8, Parker, and then Van Eck, Van der Linden as well somewhere at the end of this, but looking to make a move at Parker and Bartolucci this time round. They're up ahead. This is Van Eck under pressure from Van der Linden. We can see through the parabolica goes Bartolucci. He's gone too deep though, and thank you very much. I think Parker's going to take it, and now under pressure from Parker and Van der Linden, Jaco Van Eck side by side with Parker. I believe that is, or it might be Bartolucci. Bartolucci's fallen right down the order, but Jaco Van Eck down the inside goes Bartolucci on Parker. He wasn't sure he was there, and Van der Linden's tagged one of the McLarens in the back as well, and that's gone all sorts of wrong for many different reasons at turn number 1 as we approach the hour to go mark. Jaco Van Eck, late move, he goes down on Parker. Oh, he's kept it on the track, and there's attack from behind as well. I think that, sorry, it was Bartolucci going through, and I think Jaco Van Eck, he tags the side of Steve Parker, and then that's allowed Frans van der Linden away in to that 10th place on the track. Battling again, Van Eyck, he's going to want a bit more here against Van der Linden. Side by side, he's going to be a move down at Ascari. This is going to be a close one. Trying to bail out of it, and Parker's got it wrong as well. He spinned off the track, and very well done by Jaco Van Eyck to avoid that, but that's now invited him in to a battle further back with Bockland and his brother, I believe, of Arjen van der Linden. Late braking there from Jaco Van Eyck. The faster of the Van der Lindens is there, but Arjen van der Linden's also thinking about something. Bockland as well. But here is Arjen van der Linden. He's got past and now leads the way, and he's going to be eyeing up a move on Van Eyck, his fellow Dutchman. And Cassel's got through as well, in towards P number 12. Bockland dropped down towards P13 and all of that. And here is Henry Tonts. He's having a brilliant recovery drive at the moment. Henry Tonts, the Estonian, started race P3, caught up in a problem at turn number 1. He's now down in P14, trying to climb his way back up because he's at P3 in the standings. As Zoltan, tied with points in the silver class with him, will be jumping him massively so far, you'd think. We are following Tonts then as he runs behind the little group of Bockland, Cassel and Van der Linden as they go up towards the Ascari complex once more. We approach the 1 hour to go mark, the first fifth of the race. 15 minutes gone. Arjen van der Linden looking at the back of Jaco Van Eyck, and behind him as well as Cassel, who also will be wanting to get involved in a bit of the action. Pouring down the inside, thought about it was Van der Linden, but now Cassel thought about what around the outside, but both neither getting much of a leeway to their opposition ahead of them as they'll cross the line pretty much bang on 15 minutes gone. And with an hour to go, it's still a long time left in the grand scale of the race. But Van Horn leads the way in the race, but here's a replay of what happened to Gomez. He just caught the curve, went onto 2 wheels, found himself on the grass, and as he tried to recover all that scary stuff. And Gomez, well, there was not much he could have done about that there once he found himself on the grass. It was over, and there's been another accident. There was a donut there from Arjen van der Linden. He's going to be passed by his THRC teammate. And Parker as well, as he's on a bit of recovery, going to find his way through. But it was a bit awkward from Tons, as you can see up ahead, and Vervat might fancy something through the Lesmos, but Arjen van der Linden's going to want to forget that. A lot of rents in the mix of things as well on his recovery. Kian and Cohen Keen's fastest lap for him, he's just under a second behind that. Our AM leader, Matt Pry, but this is Van der Linden looking down the back of Vervat up towards Ascari, not going to be wanting any mistakes, cuts a lot of that out, and that's surely going to be a warning through turn number 8 for Van der Linden, but he's got a good run on Vervat here. He's going to have to go the long way round though, but he may already get a good bit of overlap before they get to the Parabolica. Leads it by a length, now 2, and just succeeding the place there was Vervat, but Parker just fancying something as well. Not to be, but he might look to come back the Ferrari driver on Vervat up towards turn number 1 as they cross the line. We're looking at P14 here. It's Arjen van der Linden. He's in a bit of space. He's after a bit of a mistake. He's comfortably past Vervat, but Vervat now Might be under pressure here from Steve Parker, who's riding his coattails through turn number 2. And Vervat's going to be open. His teammate can just pull him along here through turn number 3. They're not out of a play. This is teammates. Are they going to race? Are they going to just try and avoid the damage that Steve Parker can do? Duesberg's completed his mandatory pit stop, and I believe Actis is out of the race by the looks of things. We'll get an update for you on that when we can, but here is Steve Parker as they come through turn number 6. The team hard car still going at it. Try hard, sorry. Cars going right at it, and they've got a Steve Parker in between them. The difference as well, Vervat and Van der Linden, different classes despite being teammates, and how will that play things as well? Does Vervat just let Parker go? It's really not his race. But we will find out through Ascari they go. We'll see what the run can be like up towards the Parabolica this time round. An update on Actis as well. Actis still kicking along, but whilst they're all squabbling, this has allowed Walter Vrentz. He started P2 in the race to get involved. We now have a train of 4 cars, and 3 of them are pros. Oh, sorry, 3 of them are silvers. A mistake there from Vrentz. Gets the first bit of aero wash, and he runs wide, and Parker and Vervat eyeing things up. It's going to be the inside line for Parker. He's already got off the overlap. Is Vervat going to fight this? He is. He's going to want the bragging rights. It's not going to affect his points, but comfortably down the inside. Parker will get it done before we even have a look at turn 2. And Brent almost backing him up into things as well as they come through turn number 3. All over the back of Vervat is going to be Walter Vrentz. On board we go in. The helmet cam comfortably done as you'd like for the Belgium. Never a match when you look at the qualifying. And it's going to be a comfortable position gain. Now we look at Marco Alessandro Caseo. We haven't spoken about him for a while. He was in that little train, but it's been scattered out now. And it's just him and Jaco Van Eyck in the battle for the top 10. As they come up towards Ascari, still everyone in relative touching distance. Franz van der Linden has pulled ahead, as well as Bartolucci and Galaminis. Those two still unable to make much distance gains on Matt Pry, who's been hunted by the current fastest man on the track, Cohen Gies. Separate classes for them, it'll be interesting to see what they can do in that battle. But Casale, the white Ferrari against the all black of Jaco Van Eyck's McLaren. And there's contact, oh, in the picture-in-picture through. I believe that's Vrentz and Parker through the parabolic in the bottom right of your screen. Dave had a coming together, and Vrentz's race goes from bad to worse, and we turn our attention back again to Casale and Van Eyck. Really tight line on the inside for Van Eyck, trying to find a way through, though is Casale. He looks he might have something pushing through, but Casale's going to have to set that up again, and it's well defended there by Van Eyck. And you look in the distance, it's the Estonian Henry Tons, who just got an eye on him as well. Marco Casale, P11. Battling with the Dutchman Jaco Van Eyck. Behind them is Henry Tons, the pro driver, the silver driver that sits third in their respective championships. Casale in the AM class, currently P7 on 21 points. A good result from him, can jump up a few places, most notably the absence of Tim Edens and Mitch Chubby, so good chance to gain something for Casale, and he will have to get past Van Eyck and Van der Linden and close up to Bartolucci and Gamini. And it's a good debut in the season so far as well for Boklan. He's currently P5 in Class P13 overall with 53 minutes to go. And here is a look at our race leader then, Carl Van Horn. He snuck in from P5 in qualifying, since then a 5.3-second gap between himself and Mark Conway, as he looks to be the first driver in both Silver and Am in Tier 2 to get a second race win on the boards this season. Cohen Geensman. He's currently running in 6th place, half a second behind our Am race leader Matt Pryor, the Belgium in the 711 DDS Racing McLaren, as he chases him through the 4-5 chicane up towards Lesmos, and Matt Pryor has done well to hold on here. It's a shining performance so far from the Am driver that sits on 36 points in the Am Class P4 for him. A great race will certainly have his benefits for the Brit, but the Belgian Cohen Geens has his eyes on De Gore, Zoltan, Conway and Van Horn up the order. Cohen Geens P12 in the... Oh, there's a mistake from Cohen Geens. He's cut right through the gravel on Ascari and he's rejoined the track in the least elegant of fashions, and that's put a massive gap between them. Just about to say, Geens is having a great race to say. He's currently runs P12 in the standing, so it would be a big jump for him. And Casale, oh no, he's not going to be wanting to see that one again. Casale flying Superman style over the Ascari curves, and he meets his fate with the barrier. That's going to be some big damage indeed. He's got to kick up and get up a bit. You can see, look at that. He's really having to wrestle the car. And Casale's race, well, he's P4 in class we mentioned not long ago. He was having a great race. Going to be all but done for him. And De Gore right on the back of Zoltan, who he's caught up with nicely. Both of these neck and neck in the championship. P4 and P5, 3 points separates them, with Zoltan being the leader in that little battle and the leader on track in this battle as well. As with 50 minutes and change remaining then. And the track temp holding up nicely for the drivers as well. I'm going to be loving that. Looks to be no chance of rain as they exit through turn number 7. But De Gore wanting to find a way onto the podium. He's 6 tenths back. The Hungarian leads him towards Ascari. We approach the 50-minute mark, ticks over. De Gore, the Frenchman, in the Ferrari, the current fastest of the home cars here. No Lamborghinis in sight this week, but the Ferrari, the Tifosi love for Monza. And it is a Frenchman behind the wheel for it. In the Kessel Racing car, he had a look down the inside of the parabolic and he's flown right through. There has the Frenchman. He's all over the back of the Lexus of Zoltan. Pulling away briefly was Zoltan down straight, but the slipstream coming in is going to have a massive benefit for the French driver up towards turn 1. Is he close enough to Lexus? Top line speed, things better. Right, late move, here comes De Gore. Has he got it down? Oh, he's slowed down just in time, and that's a brilliant move from the Frenchman. A textbook late braking move. Daniel Ricciardo would be proud, and it's a spot on the podium for Michael De Gore. De Gore, one of the race winners. He didn't participate in round 1, but a race win and a P9 for the Frenchman, so a mixed bag for him, and another podium does him well, but that P9 will have to stay on his record since he was absent in round number 1 if he wants to challenge in this championship. He's going to have to kick on a bit more than he is doing, so we allow some clean air for him to chase down Conway. 3 seconds gap for him. And this is Peter Bocklin on his debut in the 7th season of the GT3 Championship here on SSRI. He's got Iron van der Linde in his sights today. Come through Valesmo's at the very north of the track. And under the old banking they go, then he's got Casale behind. Sorry, he's got, it looks to be it's an all white car. I think that's Casale, will be Casale, that won't be a back track. It's Casale's all white Ferrari. He's in P18. He's had to spend a lot of time in the pit lanes repairing that damage, then evidently. This is Peter Bocklin having a very good race, definitely, but he looks nowhere near the podium in the AM class, but he should be able to make a good account of himself at least here. And now then, here comes Henry Todt back on his recovery drive. He's got Van Eck in his sights now, moving pro class once more. Gives him benefit and too deep into the corner there. Goes Van Eck, and you'd think he'd have to give up the place, but it's going to be a much better exit there from Van Todt. Anyway, as Van Eck had to go through the twisty, turny makeshift chicane, and Tons wouldn't have expected the move to be that easy, but the mere presence has forced Van Eck into a mistake. We're half an hour down. My math just faulted me for a second there. But yes, half an hour down nearly in the race as we approach the 45-minute mark. And we'd start to see the first of the pit stoppers, first of the pit stoppers for the ones without damage. You can see there, Vrentz, Parker, Casale and Duesberg have taken their mandatory pit stop. We saw Actis in the pits early, but he did not take fuel, so he's got another stop to make. He's 3 laps down, but this is the area of Gomez in the pits as well, but he probably has some damage from his spin down the back straight. But the pit window starting to open, you'd think, between now and the 30-minute mark, the middle of the fifth, if you look at it that way, in the 15 minutes. This is the middle of them and the best chance. Now we get to start looking at strategies, overcuts, undercuts, fuel, how much you're taking, tyres. It all gets a little bit interesting as Henry Todt exits back onto the pit straight, where he'll surely be thinking, going down to the right of that concrete wall in towards the garages. And now his strategy can benefit him. It gets him further up the order as he's 2.4 seconds behind Frans van der Linden. But Todt's having a great recovery drive, and you think if it wasn't for turn 1, he could be right up there with Conway, who's pulling away 5.8 seconds now. Or with Van Horn, sorry, he's 5.8 seconds ahead of Conway. Have a look at Frans van der Linden, and just behind him is the Estonian of Todt, and further back as well, Van Eck, who's going to be kicking himself over his mistake. We've had a few of those today where drivers are wanting to have a look back at there, but that was Galamini, I believe. Sorry, it was Bartolucci that had just a bit of a mistake ahead of van der Linden, and that's going to invite the Dutchman towards the Italian for a move on the AM drive, and just put a car between himself and Todt, who's lighting the track up red hot so far. But here is Horvath Zoltan as he's still in touch with Michael Degor, and again, the difference in line these lot are taking, seemingly benefiting Blacks for the title line. Tucked into the slipstream, he's going to be gaining all the way, but he's not going to be able to think of a move unless he can replicate what Degor did to him a few laps prior. Up towards the chicane they go, then both comfortable through there, but it was well by Zoltan as he's gained fairly massive. Look at the gap's shrunk down exponentially towards half a second, and the Hungarian is seemingly a man on a mission as he looks ahead to his opening, or his only pit stop he would be hoping, as Galamini's into the pits. The first of the AM drivers in the top 3, and sliding through there was Zoltan. Always had to slam the brakes right on to hold that one off. And a bit of a sigh of relief from Degor as Hungarian was really hunting him down. We just get a look at Matt Pryor. No real worry to him. You'd think for Zoltan, the bragging rights would be wanted to be had for prior. However, difference in class doesn't impact them too much in the long run. And the sensibilities say not to touch it, but Conway taking a 10th out of Van Horn there. You can see on the left side of your timing screen our race leader. It's been all Van Horn all the way, and here is Mark Conway into 137 Team WRT BMW. So we went comfortably in no man's land. Oh, bit of a mistake there. That could have been catastrophic if you lost it through the parabolica, but Conway just holds his ground in the end. Down the pit straight he goes. He's got Vrints ahead of him to help pull him along, and this could have a bit of a benefit as they approach Van Horn, who is, you can see, in the right side on the minimap. Going through turn 3 in no man's land, he's our race leader. And Conway having the benefit of the misfortunes from Vrints, who qualified ahead of him in the race. He'll be able to follow the driver we know has some speed along, and he perhaps can be pulled along. And the benefit you'd feel for the likes of Vrints, who had a mistake like that, having to pit early, the clean air will be able to drive him along massively, whilst everyone else you'd think will pit and get in traffic. When he pits, everyone else is all being in battles and such. Him pitting himself will put him in clean air, and he can just put in qualifying lap after qualifying lap, which we know Vrints can do as he put himself in the top 3. So we'll see what benefit of that can have. That's into the pits for the AM driver. He will lose out, you'd think, to Gallimini, barring any chaos in the pits for the Italian. But this is Henry Tons back on his recovery, drive is close up to the back of Van der Linden. Obviously got past Gallimini through his pit stop as well. Bartolucci's there, he's 2 seconds up the road. You can see him coming up from turn 10 now on your screens, but this is Tons the Estonian all over the back of Frans van der Linden. You'd think he would be side by side coming up towards the parabolica, and Tons has had some good overtakes so far today. We'll see if he can keep his hot streak going on as Vervat exits the pits behind Gallimini. Svitorka through Tons, the aero washing the dirty air, just forcing him to slow down a bit here, but he might want to get a better exit. We'll see how when he gets his foot down. It looks again once more to be in the hands of Frans van der Linden, who just got the edge of the oncoming Estonian up towards turn number 1 and 2. The slipstream pulling him along as much as he can. He thinks about a late move. He's gone in incredibly deep. Oh, how has Tons got that slowed down? Perhaps a bit of caution from the likes of van der Linden, but Tons, you can see, he got so close, he's had to really pull the car in. It's impacted him on exit, and now Jacco van Eyck might just be having a look at him once more. Bocklets into the pits. As well, actually, there's a car between Van der Linden. It's Steve Parker. He's a lap down between Tons and Van Eyck. Ian van der Linden, you surely think is on your screen soon as well. No. Bocklund still in the pit lane, yes. Matt Pryor leading the way for the AM class. He's now 5 seconds ahead of Cohen Geens, and Bartolucci perhaps may have had an accident as he's not come up on the timing screen yet. There's a bit of a gap between them. Now he does, yeah. Bartolucci 11 seconds now. That explains the delay as everyone piles through the timing line, but at the end of the middle sector on the exit of Sky. But Henry Tons right on the back now of Frans van der Linden, gonna be comfortable on his silver compatriot. Will van der Linden fight it? It doesn't look like he will. It doesn't look like he's able to. Can't get a switch back in there. And Henry Tons, as easy as you like, and diving into the pit lane. Van der Linden says, my time is done for this stint. And so does a few others. Bartolucci, Geens. They are all there. And Vervat's in the pit still. He's dropped down to P19 as everyone else around him pulls up. That's interesting to see what's happened with Vervat. We'll see if we can get any information on that one for you all. When we approach then the bang on halfway stage of this race, 37.5 minutes. And everyone seemingly timed it pretty well. This is Matt Pryor, the fastest of the Fords and the fastest of the AM drivers this week. He's got Zoltan in his sights. As they come up towards Ascari, turn 8, 9 and 10. Oh, Cohen Geens has had a stop go 30. That's unfortunate. We mentioned Geens having a great race and looking down at how close he's on 17 points. Bilsma and Ian van der Linden on 18 points and Ambrosio 21 points, and he's having such a great race he could jump right up the order, but the stop go 30, speeding in the pit lane out of E4 has done him no favours whatsoever, and Matt Pryor will now pit from the lead of the AM class, and here is De Gore, who has been bumped up towards P number 2 from the pitting of Mark Conway with 36.5 minutes left. There is Horvath Zoltan in the background as well. Still in touching distance of De Gore, but he's just pulling along nicely so far for this battle between those two, seemingly sizzling out. Vervat, I am hearing, has retired from the race for brake pedal issues, so sim racing can still have its technical issues. It's not as common, but there we go. And if you try to deny it, well, I'm sure Vervat will have some choice words for you. As again, he was in the battle for a P10 result, you'd feel, or was in the mix at least, and well, his lap over and done with. Actis, the tail ender, he's into the pits. He's already had one stop so far this race, but never took the loss with mandatory stop yet to be taken. And with just over 35 minutes to go, Carl Van Horn leads the way from start to finish. We got now 9.8 seconds to second place, but that's with a certain Mark Conway around the track yet to make a pit stop. And here comes our race leader then, Carl Van Horn pits from the race lead. Michael De Gore will take command of the race. No, he won't. Here he comes. It's going to be Horvath Zoltan, who would have had a lot more higher hopes for this race so far than what's turned out to be. The Hungarian is our new race leader. Cohen Geens then into the pits as well for his stop go 30. We'll see where he can come out after all of it. And on the top 3 of the AM class have all pitted, and more crucially, they're all next to each other on track. There's a gap between them. Well, there's timing gaps between them, but in the race, I've got no one around them that's on the same lap as them. Matt Pryor leads that way. He's 2 seconds behind him is Gallimini in a 10-second gap towards Bartolucci. But Gallimini, the championship leader, versus Matt Pryor, who's looking to be the 4th race winner from 4 in the AM class, and Ruben Gomez all over the back of Bocklund on his debut in the AM class. All sorts of shames being thrown from Gomez, not for the first time this race. He's trying to find any way through on the Belgian in the 971 McLaren ahead of him. It's a Yahoo livery for Bocklund. Well, Gomez is just going to be searching for how he can do it up towards Ascari side by side. It's going to be close. Can he get it done? Oh, brilliant stuff. He might have cut the corner there, though. How's Gomez? But Bocklund, wise to it, just backs out and probably thinks, I can get him next time around. But it's also not his fight. Bocklund, an AM driver. Gomez, one of the pros, one of the silvers keep getting mixed up with Tier 1, but one of the silvers, not really his battle. And Ruben Gomez comfortably into P number 13. Unlucky for Sorman, we only have 3 drivers left to make their pit stop. It's Horvath Zoltan, Henry Tons, who's on a fabulous comeback drive, and then Jacco Van Eck. But here is Ruben Gomez then being chased down by Bocklund. I doubt they're going to be in any mood to be fighting, not really on the cards, but Bocklund still maintaining that P4 in the AM class. And Caseo, despite his earlier antics with the barrier, in P5 for those. Jacco Van Eck into the pits as we approach the 13-minute mark. Only 2 drivers left then, just looking on the mini-map. And Shorka Vervat back out on track, so he has his issues sorted, and because of the happenings of Actis, he's still not in dead last in the race so far. So Vervat back on track. It's not going to be a challenging run for the man that sits in P9 of the championship, but Actis is only a point behind him in the standings, so if he can find a way to close that down, I still believe there's 4 laps between them, so I doubt it, but Vervat's out to complete the race, so good on him. But Henry Zoltan, the current race leader, or not the net race, but the net race leader is actually Mark Conway. I have just noticed Mark Conway has jumped Carl Van Horn in the pits. There's a lovely graphic there for Shulka Vervaz. Chris Hill calls him a hero for fixing his brake pedal, and that may just stay up for the entirety of watching. And that's just made me giggle. Thank you, Chris Hill, for that wonderful stuff. But our net race leader is Mark Conway. There's a fascinating thing for you. Is perhaps an issue in the pits, perhaps one taken. We saw this last week as well, though, as in Tier 1. It may be an issue in the pits, but it may be that Conway has opted not to take tyres, and Van Horn did. You can see that's why the gap is closing down exponentially fast, as Van Horn just has more grip under him, and he's just flying ahead regardless of the track calling as we head in towards the late afternoon in the virtual land of Monza in the north of Italy. But 1.6 seconds at the start of the lap's already down to 1.3, and Conway is going to have the 30 minutes driving of his life if he wants to hold off Carl Van Horn from his second rating of the season. But we're going to jump towards Walter Frenz on his comeback drive against Ian van der Linden, who seems to be always involved in someone's comeback drive this race. And he's on the chopping block next for Ian van der Linden. 3/10 is the gap, and P11 is on the cards, as he's going to need every point he can as Vrint sits 7th in the standings, not far behind Ian's brother Franz. Ian himself sitting in P number 10. I'm being told we're not brothers, but Chris Hill refuses to tell me what they are in relation to each other. Apparently we just have the same surname, but I would think with a surname like that, they're certainly brothers on track right now, as they are side by side on the timing tower positions. But Vrint is going to want to put a bit of a sandwich between the not related Franz van der Linden. Not related Franz van der Linden, and well, I'm giving Ian Franz's name as well. The non-related van der Lindens, and we could be in for an interesting sandwich. as here comes Walter Vrins. Appears a move. It's too late to really get something that's going to move as well. Down in the bottom corner. Picture-in-picture stuff, and there's moves absolutely everywhere. We're getting down to crunch time, it seems, here at Monza. We're back to the main battle. It's Vrins versus Iron van der Linden. Vrins is going to have a better run here, you'd think, up towards the chicane, as he's got no overlap just yet. McLaren doesn't quite have the top end speed, but the braking's there for the Belgian when he gets past his neighbouring Dutchman. And Walter Vrins gets himself up into P11 with 27 minutes and change left in the race. Cohen Geen still the fastest man on track, but this is Horvath Zoltan, the last man left to make his pit stop, and he's really stretching this out as much as he can, going for the extreme overcut, you'd assume. And Horvath Zoltan, the race leader then, and Carl Van Horn has comfortably got past Mark Conway, as well. You can notice in the top left of your screen, and already there's a massive gap. So I'm guessing I was right, and Van Horn took tyres, Conway didn't, so that's why Conway jumped Van Horn in the pits. However, he's hunted him down like a tiger to a deer, you could say. I don't know what. Perhaps me to some pasta later, since we're in Italy. We'll go with the theme, as with 26 minutes left. Time is well and truly flying in this race, and Horvath Zoltan flew in qualifying, started on pole. A bit of a kerfuffle, you could say, at turn number 1, and well, he's still in a chance at a podium, but De Gore got past him. So Steve Parker on I guess, we're saying a recovery drive, but loads of people have been in that position, so it feels a bit harsh for some. But nonetheless, it's Steve Parker we run with. He's on, looking down the barrel of Bocklund in the 971 McLaren up towards the line. It's going to be a long run down, near enough a kilometre for Parker to try and get past the McLaren. We've already seen the McLaren lacks top end speed. Much better for the Ferrari, and he doesn't have to search for answers this time round. And Parker compliments P14, where he made it look simple. Bocklund under, not really going to having a chance for it. Steve Parker flying around, and again, a silver driver, excuse me, compared to an AM driver. Not really of a battle for them. There's a big gap as well between themselves and Casale, but this is Van Doesburg following along with him in P18. Again, a driver caught up in the ongoings of Monza, I guess you could call it. This is Van Doesburg just following around, I believe, trying to think out which BMW that is ahead of him. We've seen, I think that's Conway. It's the 137. So it is, yeah, it is Conway. I'm trying to remember the distinctive livery, and or who else had the stock BMW livery. It is Conway. It's provisional second place man, currently running in P3. 28 laps gone for Horvath Zoltan, and he's yet to make his pit stop in the 522 Lexus. The lone Hungarian in the field, currently having to think of an unconventional strategy. As you can see, he's going through turn number 3 as he's trying to find a way he can gain any sort of position and a move on. If he can beat Conway, he will jump up in the standings, as there's only 2 points separating them. But he will certainly have one past Tons, who's P5. He's absolutely flown. So if this strategy doesn't work out for Zoltan, it's going to benefit Tons, who's tied with him in the standings. He will be able to fly ahead massively. Here is the said Estonian in the 143 BMW for the Toga Academy. And Carl Van Horn might be counting his lucky stars the way that Tons has flown. But he has had issues because the real danger man, you'd have to say, in this entire race might have been Tons. And there's still 22.5 minutes left. Tons still might have an answer to something. He's only 8.5 seconds behind De Gore, who's in a net podium position. And whilst this is all going on, they're also gaining on Zoltan, who, if they have taken tyres, his tyres are certainly going to be going off the cusp very shortly. So the Estonian not got much around him to worry about either. So this is Cohen Geens and Casale. Both of them have been caught up in mishaps. One from a sausage curb, which we spoke about in the pre-show it would happen, and well, Cohen Geens, whose mishaps was his own doing, but it's McLaren versus the Ferrari, and this time the Ferrari leads away, but Geens had an excellent run through the Parabolica, so that plus for toe might give him a look down towards turn number 1. He's peering to the inside. Geens looks committed to this, but as he gets to the braking zone, he pulled out way too late, and the Ferrari has just absolutely minced him in straight line speed. Now that's seemingly been a big issue for the McLaren drivers. They dominated free practice in the race. They can't seem to find a way past these Ferraris. I've just been a thorn in their side, but throughout the mid part of the track now, Cohen Geens trying to find a different way through Casale, very close to the back here in this middle section, where you think the McLaren will absolutely thrive, and perhaps if he's close enough through turns 6 and 7, there may just be something giving. But the nature of Monza just makes this ever so tricky to set something up. When there's a car, well, when there's a disparity in straight line speed, when one's good through the technicals and one's an absolute beast down the straights. And the lowest placed silver driver right now, Cohen Geens, seemingly stuck Francis on how we can move up the order. There's about 10 seconds behind Steve Parker, the next silver driver to him on the track, so he's got a way to go if he wants to try and find any extra points he can snatch along. Geens, P12 in the standings, was running well beforehand, and it's going to be a race he's certainly going to want to forget at the end of it all. From his own misfortunes in the pit lane, back at it again. That 2 minutes has flown past brilliantly up towards turn number 1 again, peering out to the inside is Geens. He peers back into it as he just knows he's just not close enough. No matter what he does through the Parabolica, he just can't close up to Casale, who's doing just enough throughout that 11th turn to hold off the oncoming Cohen Geens, and a bit wide on the exit of turn 2 has always done him no favours. And we turn our attention to Matt Pryor, who's on the back of Tons. He's flown in from nowhere, so Tons perhaps mistake somewhere has invited the AM leader into this, into Avon Racing Ford, the only Ford in the field, which surprises me compared to how last week's race in Tier 1 went. But Matt Pryor only bragging rights to play for on an overtake on Tons, back with Geens and Casale as well in the bottom right of your screen, and very close there to Casale was. Geens has very nearly made a bit of contact, and you might start to question, is this really worth an overtake from Matt Pryor? As if it goes wrong, well, this could invite Gallimini into all of this, and he may just cough up what you think with 18 minutes ago is a fairly comfortable class win, unless he wants to put a car between himself and Thompson. He fears Gallimini 3.4 seconds behind, but also if Pryor is faster than Tons, or if Pryor feels he's faster than Tons right now, being stuck behind him is only going to slow him down. But it's which of the lesser of the two evils do you want to take, and a different line through the Parabolica for Gaines, and that has hampered him massively, but he's getting a bit more of a run. The slipstream's really pulling in. The exit speeds helped him massively. He's gaining. Could he think of a late braking move? He pairs. No! Gaines just thinks better of it, and you think the way the McLaren's been compared to the Ferrari at that first turn, Gaines just needs one to be a little bit closer, and he may be able to just get his foot down on the brakes a little bit later anyway. Perhaps being a bit too comfortable, a bit too shy there is Gaines. But he's certainly making inroads, and speaking of making inroads, it's Matt Pryor on the back of Henry Tons. He's going to be all over the back of the Estonian before the turn one braking zone. You'd think they've got a bit of an overlap. Up towards it goes, the Brit sends it down comfortably, and the AM race leader puts car between himself and Galloini, who's 4.4 seconds up the road. And Matt Pryor just looks to put this class race win to bed, as we have less than 17 minutes to race here at Monza. Here is Cohen Gaines again on Casale. Throughout the 4th or 5th lap they've been going at it. Casale doing just enough to hold off Gaines. And Gaines just going to, you'd feel Gaines in the DDS Racing McLaren just going to be getting a bit frustrated. His best look though was, oh no, he's not going to have a look this time. A bit of oversteer. He's been sliding all over the place through the parabolic. That's doing him no favours whatsoever. I was about to say his best look has been when he's gone just wider through the parabolica. It sets up the better exit speed, and he just closes in the best he's done so far, and he's testing the late braking there, and that's closing right up and just avoids contact. And I think Cohen Gaines 40 might just have a bit of a sight on how late he can brake. I don't think Daniel Ricciardo would be one to test it, but Gaines a bit of a sight of that time round. But the mistake costs a big chunk of time between himself and Casale, and he's just going to have to go back to the drawing board, but flying his way through turns 4 and 5. We ride on board with the lovely helmet cam. We have 8/10 is the gap as we approach the final 5th of the race, as the 15-minute to go mark will just tick over. Horvath Zoltan leads the way, still yet to make his pit stop as well. We'll get a split between himself and Karel Van Horn when we get it. And De Gore as well, closing in on Conway, 4.6 seconds between them. But 33 laps complete for Horvath Zoltan as he sets his eyes on another one, the number 13 car. We look for him on the mini-map, just coming through Ascari, so about 30 seconds between them. And Zoltan is having an interesting race strategy here. He certainly is had to go for it with the misfortunes he's had in the race, and Gaines again gone for the better exit strategy, and we'll see what the benefit has come the end of the straight. But there's a little bit of a toe now for Ferrari as well up the road, and you just got to start to feel for Gaines as nothing seems to be going his way here at all. It's almost like the game's put him in the doghouse, but the traffic up ahead might just benefit Gaines if he can play it well. He's great through the slow speed corners on X. You can see how much he's gained through there, and having to wrestle it a bit more is Casale through turn number 3. But where Gaines is having his best looks is at turn 1, but he's not close enough, because through Ascari, Casale is doing just enough to give him the gap to pull the top, to pull a gap up towards the parabolica, and then it becomes too little too late, you feel, for Gaines. But he's really giving it to Beans this time around. A mistake there from Casale, kicking up the dust. Again, aggressive on the exit of the Lesmos. Tucked into the straight as they go under The old banking, it's Cohen Gaines tailing Casale up towards Ascari. Look how close he is. He's really on the limit, you feel now, Gaines. Riding across the green Astro strip and into the pits now is our race leader, Horvath Zoltan. So it'll be interesting to see where he comes out of this. But he's got a good run here, and you can see the Ferrari top speed just pulling Casale ahead for just a moment's time. But Gaines thinking, Casale, tyres seemingly giving up a bit here with 12.5 minutes to go. This is the closest we've seen Gaines get. Again, good exit. He's tucked right into the back here. This could be the best chance for Cohen Gaines out of the pits. Is Horvath Zoltan. We'll yet to see who comes across from there. Goes our battle on screen, and Casale just does enough once more to hold off Cohen Gaines. There is Zoltan in the back. And I believe this is Mr. Carl Van Horn, who's up the road. Zoltan's definitely done well. Obviously, would have had to have taken less fuel in the pit stop. However, has he taken tyres? Has he not? If Zoltan's taken tyres, this could be an absolutely fabulous strategy. He's got a 3.8 second lead to Carl Van Horn. Van Horn as well, his tyres are will be starting to go as well. And we know it's in no doubt Zoltan's got the pace. He put it on pole. And Van Horn's kind of the championship leader. He has been aided by the misfortunes of everyone else around him, like your Tons, like your Zoltans. But back to the battle for P16. It's still going on, and Gaines again through the middle of the lap. He's flying through it, not as aggressive through Ascari as last time, and the gap between himself and Ferrari is just a little bigger. And Jaco Van Eyck, oh, he's somehow made a mistake on the exit of turn 3. And he's absolutely parked it there. And Jaco Van Eyck, not sure what happened. They'll probably get a replay when we can do to update you guys. But back to the battle for P16. Cohen Gaines, again, not on the aggressive line through Ascari. And not even in shot is Casale. Just to answer the frustrations, we'll give 3.8 seconds as the gap between Van Horn and Zoltan. The championship leader, Carl Van Horn, taken 3/10 out of the race leader so far. Very close at the back. There's Zoltan got. We'll get a replay of what happened to Jaco Van Eyck. He just, well, he's a bit of a lapse of concentration there. Just dab on the grass, he drifts wide, and well, he's just going to have no idea what's happened there. But the more that Zoltan follows around these two, the more it's going to hamper him, and he's just going to want to get in and out as quickly as he can. Stick 2 cars between himself and Van Horn, which no doubt will benefit him and up the road as well. There's Bocklund, so there's certainly cars he can stick between himself and Van Horn. But then all Zoltan can do is get past them and hope for the best. Hope that they hold up the Dutchman as much as possible. But Cohen Gaines isn't going to want to let up anything as he's trying to get past Casale as a drive-through practice as well. That will be for too many corner cuts and track limits warnings, and that just adds on to misfortunes on his race. 4 laps. And plus down, always a mistake from Casale. Casale's got too close to the back of Bocklund there. And through goes Gaines out of nowhere. And that's done a massive favour as well to our race leader Zoltan with 8.5 minutes to go. It's stuck a car in between them with no work to do whatsoever. And the blue flag's going to be waving. Zoltan thinks of a move. He's going to go for it. Surely he's got to go for it up towards turn number 1. Turning in, he doesn't realise he's there. Cohen Gaines has not realised his compatriot is there. And seething, surely you'd think Horvath Zoltan's going to be, as that would have been a textbook comfortable move. And turning the door, closing in as he tries to lap him. He's fighting this all the way. Does Gaines realise this is a blue flag? Maybe he lets him go now. Oh, he's still trying to fight it, actually. What is Cohen Geens doing here? And that's now backed up into Casale, who's going to fancy move up towards Valesmos, and Geens is trying to force him as wide as he can. He might have moved a bit one too many times, where Casale's now not going to be happy in that one. And if these two start hotting it up, well, you can only think it's going to be a mountain to climb for Zoltan to get past. Zoltan yet to win a race this season. Both classes, 3 different race winners from all 3 rounds. Matt Pryor leads the way in the Ambulance looks to continue that trend. Zoltan winning will keep that one as well. Van Horn, Conway and De Gore, the silver class race winners. And we thought, well, that Carl Van Horn is running away with this, but a cheeky strategy from Horvath Zoltan has perhaps opened the door for something different. 2 seconds is the gap between, or 2.5 seconds rather, is the gap between Zoltan and Van Horn. 4 seconds between Pryor and Gallimini. Gallimini surely not going to be able to catch Pryor in the final 7 minutes. These lot will cross the line, and you'd think 4 laps left for Zoltan. Geens and Geens being passed by Zoltan means they won't get the added benefit of just 1 extra lap to try and get things done. Casale, he's got behind him the chasing leader. There's contact there. Oh, dearie me, he's had to take evasive action, and that could be the race. As Carl Van Horn has made an absolute hatch of it trying to get past Casale. He's tagged him in the back, and that could also be a penalty post race. More drama at Monza, and Carl Van Horn, a bit of frustrations, was centred into the back. He didn't even move, and Casale, in just a couple laps time, his race has been flipped on its head once more, and he's going to be absolutely lost for words. So this is Henry Tons. We look at 5th in class, 7th overall. Ahead of him is Gallimini, and he might just want one more battle on track with 5.5 minutes to go for these two. Tons a great recovery drive after being caught up in a few mishaps at turn 1 on lap 1. The heroics were given from others, and well, that's the way it's happened, and we get a picture-in-picture. You can't quite tell who that is going through Ascari, but it's another on-track battle by what I'm guessing that Parker and Gomez? I'm not sure. No, it's Conway and De Gore. Conway and De Gore is a battle for the final podium spots. Mark Conway versus Michael De Gore. Again, 5 points separate these in the championship, so certainly something to be giving there. And De Gore, half a second back, tucked into the slipstream here of the Brits. The Frenchman is going to want to do all he can in the final few minutes. He's right up on his tail as they go through the chicane, flashing his lights, trying to put him off. And this is what we spoke about in the pre-show on Lap Guide. If you're too close on lap 3, you start having to bump track, and then you don't get close enough to make a move. It's an awkward place to be in as the following car, but the top speed in the Ferrari is going to be the benefit here for De Gore. You'd think side by side up towards turn number 4. Forward turning in there, you'd think was Conway, but De Gore's got it through. He's not going to complain, and Conway has realised the Frenchman's there just before it was too late. And it's going to be, you'd think, a comfortable P number 3 final spot on the podium for De Gore. And Cohen Geens has seemingly had a mistake as Casale and Steve Parker has got past him, as here is Steve Parker being chased down by Cohen Geens. That's an interesting one, and just to note as well, just looking about our race lead, just cut the timing board, so 2 laps to go then for everyone starting one out and side by side. Steve Parker's gone the long way round, and Cohen Geens simple as you'd like. You'd think though that Parker might want to continue on the battles. He's just waiting. He's not peering into the slipstream yet. He's just holding it down. And now cutting across the racing line, Steve Parker's not even had a second thought of Cohen Geens there. But just a word on our race leader at 3.5 seconds after the little incident. What happened with Cohen Geens there? Ooh. Close on to the back of Parker. I think these two both actually coming together. Oh, it's not a place you move. Oh, Cohen Geens, that is the silliest thing you've done all day, and you've had a drive-through penalty. Well, you've got to stop go-kart after you've sped in the pit lane, and that is the silliest thing you've done all race. You can get a move at Velesmos, but that is not how you do it, and surely there's a penalty on coming to him as well. We got past Steve Parker once more in a much more tiny way. 2 minutes to go then. A lap and a half of racing, and Horvath Zoltan, he's extending the lead. And the Hungarian, we saw a Vervac get a hero. Little pop-up for his repairing of his pedals, but I think an absolutely monumental hero strategy from Horvath Zoltan. I have no idea how at times Zoltan fell to P4. We was talking about Zoltan started on pole, may not even get a podium. And well, what do you look at that? It's actually Conway who was comfortably in things. Is not looking like he's going to be the victim of the fabled 4th place. But here's Horvath Zoltan then. All he needs to be is tied. He's got a 3.5 second gap to Carl Van Horn throughout for the last lap. Just needs to bring it home and be tidy. Horvath Zoltan, the Hungarian, put it on pole. Matt Pryor looks comfortable as well in the AM class. He's got 4.2 seconds between himself and Gallimini. He's also just going to want to bring it home. Horvath Zoltan through Velesmos, turn number 6. Turn number 7 is going to be one of the first places you'd think of where you can bin it, how awkward it is, so comfortable we can see, doesn't push it too much, just enough, and the gap still extends. Behind him there is Carl Van Horn, looks to be a bit more on the edge of things, and there we go, Horvath Zoltan, what a strategy. And indeed it is, it hasn't been the prettiest of drives. That will probably goes towards Henry Tons, who's had a great recovery to put himself 5th in class and 7th overall. And a mistake from Matt Pryor as Gallimini with timing has just been cut down a bit here. So it's not to be, but the checkered flag's going to be out. It's 1 corner to go, and Horvath Zoltan, what a strategy indeed, what a man. It's turn 11 for the Hungarian. The lone Lexus rounds out through Parabolica. What a strategy, it's pole, it's a race win. It's a 4th race winner from 4 different races. Horvath Zoltan wins in Monza. Carl Van Horn's going to quickly book up here in 2nd, and you'd think Michael de Gore is moments away from that 3rd place spot in the final spot on the podium. He does so, Conway will follow in suit. And Matt Pryor rounds out through the Parabolica himself. The theme continues, the trend is on. It's a 4th race winner from 4 different races in the AM class as well. And 8 different race winners from the 8 different races in the classes here in Tier 2. Matt Pryor wins in the AM class. Gallimini will take home 2nd, and Henry Tons, what can you say about this man? A great drive from him to recover from turn 1. He probably deserves the driver of the day. Luca Bartolucci as well. We will take home P3. It's 2 Italians on the podium in Monza. Wouter Vrentz again, a good recovery drive, and Ian van der Linden and Ruben Gomez. The last across fine, you can see Ruben Gomez is a long way down, but it is a brilliant race win van out of nowhere from Horvath Zoltan. That will boost him right up into the standings. Carl Van Horn, you'd think, will still maintain himself in that championship lead, though he's going to have a race win and 2 second places to his name. But what can you say about Horvath Zoltan's strategy and a brilliant drive as well from Matt Fry? We saw very little of him because he was just never in the walls. He got himself ahead in the AM class and drove a smooth race from there. And well, it's been all from me here, Dylan Pick. It's an excellent race we've had. Are we having an interview, maybe, perhaps? So we're just going to have a look at the highlights then, and then we'll see if there's anyone who wants to turn up for an interview. I've just been... I was about to say my wonderful thanks to the wonderful Chris Hill, but he says no. So I might just have to insult him on the way out there, but here's the turn one. You see, cutting across there, Tont's got caught up in things. There's Tont's being spun around. And he's just left hand save. He's come through into P7. He's had a good race there. We'll just see, is anyone wanting an interview? Surely some people want to get on the stream and talk about how good their race was, or bring up the excuse book. Here we go. We've got 2 in the waiting room then. We will first start off with
you did the first race?
Mr. Carl Van Horn.
Hello.
Wasn't to be today. I'm guessing you thought 2/3 of the way into that race, you probably thought you had that wrapped up.
Yeah, that was my idea as well, but at the end, yeah, I just came back. A few laps were too short, and yeah, a few back markers were in the way the last few laps. So yeah, that didn't get any better. But I'm happy with P2. I think when I'm just finishing the race in the points next race, I will be the champion of this round. So yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, you're in a good position as well. The 5th place wiped off your record, so a win and 2 second places. Talk us through your strategy a bit, because I think the big thing there was before the pits, you was absolutely flying ahead of Zoltan, who ended up winning the race. But talk about how your strategy was and how perhaps Zoltan caught you off guard a bit.
Yeah, I was thinking about not taking my tires, but I did a few practices in the practice, and took my half tank of fuel and changed tires as well in the pit, just because I knew I was getting low 48s after the pit stop, and I was hoping that his tires were done so far that he was losing more time, but yeah, it is what it is.
And you said you feel like you're going to be crowned champion next week. It's on the cards. However, you've gone a bit too ahead of yourself. You said you thought you had that in the bag. How are you going to prepare a bit differently than in 2 weeks' time to make sure that you don't get caught out on a bigger scale and end up losing the championship in some way?
Yeah, lots of practice if I have the time for it. The last few weeks I didn't have the time, and yeah, Donnington is not one of my strongest tracks. So yeah, I need to do everything I can to finish high in the points and win the championship.
Alright, thank you for your time, Carl, and good luck in the next round.
Yeah.
Next, I feel like we'll have a word with our race winner then. Horvath Zoltan, what a man, what a strategy. How did you do it? Horvath, are you there? Alright, we'll be coming back to our race run in just a second. Until then, we'll have a look. We'll have a word with Mr. Henry Tons. Henry.
Hey.
That was some drive. Quickly, before we get onto it, What happened at turn 1?
I'll be honest, I haven't had the chance to look back at it myself yet. So just going off of my POV, had a bit of a moment with Rince there. Tried to keep him straight on the track still so we wouldn't have any T1 incidents, but I think I got taken out there. Don't know. After that, just honestly just went locked in and just tried to recover as much as possible.
Yeah, what was you thinking throughout that race? Because you just looked red hot. I mean, you didn't seem to slow down. What was going through your mind every time you'd catch up to a car, you'd then overtake them? What was your thought process? Obviously, after an accident like that, it's hard to keep yourself focused, but you clearly did.
Well, quite frankly, I was thinking that, well, if I'm not going to get a good position, it's going to be a drop round anyway. So why not just be as aggressive as I could? Just bang on lap after lap and try to get past everyone as fast as possible.
Yeah, you certainly did a great job, and with how fast you seemingly was today, if you didn't get caught up in that turn 1, give us a picture on how you think that race would have turned out for you if the incident didn't happen.
Don't think I was going to get P1 because Zoltan had good pace and he had a massive strategy as well. That late splash and dash really, I would be honest, caught me off guard even from way back there. And I think it was Van Horn at the start as well in the first stint, who was just blitzing everybody, and don't think I was going to catch up to them, so a P3 or a P4 would have been in the bank anyway.
Alright, anyway, thank you, Henry. Good luck in the next round. You're still in a pretty good spot in the championships to get into that top 3, so good luck in 2 weeks' time. We will now, let's have a word with Yakko.
Hello, mate.
You weren't up there in the races, but I feel like I know why you've joined. Firstly, what happened and how did you end up spinning?
Well, it all started pretty rough with the start in the first corner and got a little bit of bumps. Only 1.5 seconds of damage, but then in a 4-car battle, yeah, we were a little bit touchy, and I got 8.5 seconds. I didn't repair. I didn't have much time loss over there. But then I decided not to change tires in the pits, and I gained like 4 spots after the pits. And yeah, that turned out well. Then I looked at your broadcast, what was top of my screen. And yeah, I just went wide and I touched the grass on the most stupid place on the track, and I spun and I lost like three places, so P11. I was P8 after pits, and I think it was a sure P8 if I didn't make the mistake. But yeah, I was too eager to watch some battles on the broadcast you do. So yeah, that's not very handy.
In 2 weeks' time, you've got Donnington. You're currently P8 in the standing before everything's been added up. Walter Frins didn't have a great race either, so you should be jumping a few positions. Looking ahead to Donington in 2 weeks' time, how are you going to be preparing, and what are your hopes for the final race of the season?
Yeah, well, I don't know if I will be attending the last race of the season. Yeah, I think that's going to be my drop round, the last one. So yeah, I think I'm not preparing, so it is what it is. You know, it's just I think I will finish like P10 or so. So it was a fun season, and it was a very good battling, and especially today. I want to say GGs to the drivers who were battling with me. It was clean, it was hard, but fair. So GG to them.
Thank you, Yakko, and you definitely put on a show for us at times today. You were definitely on the cameras a lot in the midfield battle, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Now then, I feel like we'll grab a word with
Bye.
third place man, Michael de Gore.
Yes, hello.
That was a pretty good race from you. You was up and down. I'm sure you had a few different emotions in that race, but you ended up coming away with a podium. How was it?
Yeah, it was a nice race. It was a bit messy at turn 1. I had to avoid it, and I lost maybe 5 or 10 seconds going on the side. Then yeah, it was the pace was good, way better in the second stint, and I could close to Mark at the end. So I'm happy with the result.
Do you think that, looking obviously at the strategies of like Zoltan and stuff, obviously throughout the before the pit stops, you was able to actually get past him, and on pace you look to be a bit quicker. But if you look at what the race winner eventually did on strategy wise, if you could run that race again, would you follow something a bit similar to try and perhaps mimic? If you mimic him, you'd think on pace you'd probably have him. But do you think if you went back to the drawing board and have a bit of a different strategy, do you think your race could have panned out any better?
I don't know, because I struggled a lot with when the tires dropped pressure, maybe after like 30 or 40 minutes. So I was hesitating about getting a fuel tank and going for the 5-liter fuel at the end. So I don't think I would have changed the strategy, but yeah, it was better for Zoltan. Congrats for him.
Now, your P5 of the championships right now, but the top 6, realistically, are all very close together. So there's certainly positions to be made. Looking ahead to Donington in 2 weeks' time, you are one of the 4 drivers that has a race win. Do you have your mindset on being the only driver in the championship to win 2 races and perhaps shoot yourself up the standings?
It's difficult. There are a lot of fast guys in the top 5, top 6. So yeah, definitely need to maybe work on quality, because it was not that good, I think, this quality for me. So maybe if I get on the front row, maybe I have a shot to have those 2 wins. But yeah, race pace, it's fairly even, I think, for everyone.
Thank you, Michael, for your time, and congratulations on your podium.
Yes, thank you very much. See you in.
So then, that will be all from us here, as the interview room has been vacated. But a quick thank you to Mr. Chris Hill providing the photos, everyone at SSRI, for the fantastic racing as always. Join us next week for the conclusion of the Tier 1, same time, same day, of the Tier 1 Championships at Donnington, and the boys in Tier 2 will be back in 2 weeks' time. But from myself, Dylan Pick, Chris Hill on the pictures, and everyone at SSRI, thank you and good night.